I got so excited about Adrian being here. I'm telling you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a cool slate of folks you invited up. No offense to anybody else, but I'm gonna nerd out a little bit. My family's been in the same family restaurant business for 70 years. My uncle and dad started back in '58, and now my kids are working there for three generations. But it's tough. It's tough working with family. And yeah, you're singing in the choir when you speak to interchange fees and card swipe fees. Not everybody here understands what that means, but everybody here that has a credit card. Every single one of you use a credit card when you go out to eat. But did you know that at Adrian's restaurant, every time you swipe that card, it costs him anywhere from 4 to 5% out of his pocket, so you can get your miles, so you can get your rebates. It's great when you use that Costco card and you get 3% back, but you probably didn't realize Adrian's the one paying for it. And so, yeah, the credit card swipe fees is something, and we're in a society now. Back when I was in the state legislature, I even advocated for a bill that said businesses had to take cash, because I still feel like there's an importance to having legal tender that's not some credit card managed type of doing business, but it is what it is. We're in a society now where credit cards make up 75% of your business or more, yeah. But but thank God, it's intoxicating. The restaurant business, where else do you get to see somebody celebrate an engagement or an anniversary or a birthday, and they can go eat at anybody's restaurant in the whole entire town, but they decide to come to yours, And so it's exciting to see. I will ask some questions. I'm assuming as long as your business has been around, is your dad still around?
No, sir. My dad passed away in 2023.
Yeah, I lost my dad in 2020. So my dad and uncle were partners. They shared a desk. They worked shifts. My brothers, I was there for 30 years, and then my brothers now still. I'm the baby. We still, to kind of get along from keeping at each other's throats. They still clock in and clock out. If you want a paycheck, you're in the building taking care of the customer. If you're not there taking care of the customer, then no sense being paid. So now, since I'm in Congress, I don't get paid. So when you worked through that transition, did you have siblings also in the business with you?
I did not. I did not. I was an only child. We actually, Congressman, share the same starting year, 1950, I think I heard you say, and that's when
Yeah.
my father started his. No, I'm an only child, so the barrier wasn't that that I didn't want it and worked for it to have the opportunity to talk to my father. My father wanted me to take it over. For us, being a small business, was just the access of how do we do this, the legalities,
Yeah.
watching for what tax implications we could trip into, talking to accountants. And they were all great people and professionals that helped us out through it, but we spent a lot of time, and it got to one point where I believe we were 6 months in and said, hey, listen, the founder wants to do it. He has a buyer. It happens to be his son. Let's figure out these legalities and the tax implications, and let's get this done. We're just drug out money and bills and further and further. So it was a good situation. I do know a lot of family businesses, maybe some in this panel, that have different family members, whether it's aunts, uncles, siblings, that can be quite contentious. And that's unfortunate, because that's how some businesses lose.
Sure.
And fall apart, and families split apart. So
And then those are the struggles we're going through right now. Now I've got, it was just 4 boys working for my dad, and my uncle had no kids. But now all my nieces are in it. And so my mom went from having 4 boys to 7 granddaughters. So now the business is overrun with women running it now, which is great. They do a great job. But it's still that, as much as I would love to work with my family every day, some days I would love to vote them off the island because of the challenges you run into.
my kid's right there. I don't want them to vote me off the island.
It's okay. You don't have stock yet. Maybe if he takes advantage of the tax law, he'll start gifting you the maximum amount every single year early on. So, but it's just an honor to see still people wanting to be in the restaurant business. What you've got, you could not start it today. And God bless your dad for doing what he did.
Thank you.
I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. I now recognize Mr. Schmidt from the great state of Kansas for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the witnesses being here. It's been a pleasant discussion to listen to with folks just sort of analytically discussing information. Doesn't always happen around this place. I was in a hearing yesterday in a different committee where I was embarrassingly between two folks shouting at each other, and I carefully read my notes while trying to look impartial. So I had just a handful of questions. I was thinking about that famous line that President Reagan used, the 9 most terrifying words in the English language, or I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And thinking about what I would characterize as part of the intellectual tension that I've heard discussed here. On the one hand, we need certainty, we need government policy that is predictable, we need to not be whipsawed all the time. I understand that. And on the other hand, sort of the spirit of 1776, there are times when you just have to make bold change and you're worried a little less about the short-term uncertainty and a little more about the long-term trends and kind of where you're headed. And those have been in tension throughout our history. So a couple of questions along that line. Regulatory reform generally. I always love the sort of top-line back-and-forth debates that you hear about are regulations good or bad, and the answer is they're both. They often have good purpose, and many of them we need. And on the other hand, it's possible to have too much of a good thing, and you impose compliance costs that are unnecessary and create other harm, right? And so it's a balance. I pointed out before that the year I was born in 1968, the Code of Federal Regulations, which of course is the compiled list of all of the law made by bureaucrats, made by folks with authority we've delegated to them in Congress, was about 50,000 pages. Today it's about 200,000 pages. It's quadrupled in my lifetime. And I guess I'd just invite, we'll just go down the line in the time I have, I'd invite you to comment on regulatory compliance cost, and are there areas we should be looking from your vantage point where perhaps we've gone overboard and we could scale it back a bit, free up some freedom of motion on your part? Mr. Adornetto?
You know, the first one that comes to my mind is the Affordable Care Act. As a small business, I was stretching around everywhere trying to find, how does this work? What can I do? What's my resource? Even called the 1-800 number at the time. What would it be, going back to 2013, 14? Still get confused by it. I've talked to insurance agents that I try to deal with, and they're confused by it. Recently, we retired a brand that was 51 years old that we didn't mention in my testimony. As a result of that, I went from a large employer, if you can believe it or not, 3 restaurants in rural